Hi everyone. Just wanted to go over kind of how the next 2 weeks are going to go for journalism. It's going to kind of run right up to Thanksgiving. So just to clarify how everything is going to work, you truly only have over the next 2 weeks two assignments due. One is a quiz that you should have been working on today. And the next assignment that you have due is 7.02, and you have until the end of next week to work on that. So on the 23rd is when that assignment is going to be due. Um, the week of Thanksgiving, I am giving to you as just makeup days, kind of free days. If you have assignments you need to catch up on, there's not going to be any new curriculum for that week just because we only have those 2 days and you're coming off of a bigger assignment that you're really going to need to be focusing on. So the way that this is going to work is 7.02 is the actual assignment that you're working on. So it's called And the Beat Goes On. So we'll go over that here in a second. But what I would like for you to understand and just know is that 7.03, 7.04, 7.05, 7.7, 8, and 9 all are basically you working on 7.02. So these are basically steps of what you should be doing along the way to get 7.02 complete. So what I'm going to do now is kind of just briefly go over with you each of those steps, where you should be, what you should be doing, and kind of how that the next 2 weeks should flow for you. What's super important is that you don't wait until Wednesday or Thursday next week to try and get this done. You're going to need some time. So I really want you to make sure that you're doing that. So I'm going to pause for just a second and then pull up what you need, and we'll be right back. All right, so for 7.02, the assignment that you're going to be doing, we kind of went from soft news to now we're doing a little bit more hard-hitting news as opposed to kind of less of the fluff and more of the hard hitting, right? So what you are going to do is you're going to choose a beat that you would like to have on your local newspaper. You're going to assign yourself a story to write and produce with one accompanying photograph. You're going to talk to at least two people, which means you need two interviews, who you don't know. You're going to include several quotes, facts, a good lead, and a strong kicker. Okay. So these are all components that we have talked about already that you should have learned about already through our class. So, right. So we know what kickers are. We know what leads are. We've interviewed people. So you're now kind of taking everything you've learned and you're putting it into one product, right? So you're going to gather and organize information. Excuse me, write a draft and review and polish your work over the next several lessons. Your Beat News story is due on the final day of this unit. So that final day is the 23rd. Oh, sorry, the 22nd of November. So it's next Friday. Be sure to review the news guideline rubric or grading rubric and make sure that you will know how you will be evaluated. I'm actually going to share that with you here in just a second, but it's of course in the class. So this is what your next 2 weeks should kind of look like, right? You're going to conduct your interviews, you're going to start writing, you're going to conduct follow-up interviews if you need to, work on your photo caption, finish the story, and then you're going to finish self-edit and submit the assignment for a grade. Your word count is approximately 600 to 650. This news value, the point value for this is actually changing. It's not 100, it's going to be 50. So just so you're aware, it's not worth 100 points. And then you're just going to type your draft in the assignment, okay? So for the rubric itself that you're going to be graded on, you can look at 3, 2, and 1 if you want. I prefer that you don't because I assume everyone's going to be rocking an A on this assignment. So the news value and accuracy. So basically, you are looking at making sure the story subject matches the assignment stated parameters. So basically, are you doing the actual assignment that you've been assigned or something completely random? You need at least two news value criteria. So we've covered those. The student journalist options or opinions have not crept into the story. The lead meets at least two news value criteria, or the story can support a creative lead. Facts are consistent throughout the story. So basically, are you following directions and do you have a good lead in there? And are you using the news values that we've learned throughout the class? You need to have at least two human sources. You need to make sure that you're using effective quotes from those sources. And you can also have that non-human research, that credible non-human resource as well. So kind of the same that we used in our other, the soft news article. The story has an appropriate structure. The lead is clear and does a good job setting up the rest of the story. The story has all the necessary elements, the 5 W's and the H, nut graph, quotes, kicker, etc. The story has good solid ideas and it pertains to its topic. The tone is appropriately serious or less serious depending on the story. The content is strictly factual. The writer's opinions do not creep into the story. The writer's bias does not influence which facts are included in the story. And then the last, of course, is mechanics and sentences. So each sentence is complete. Each paragraph has one main idea that explores. There are very few, no grammatical errors, and grammar, spelling, all of that looks good. So that's the rubric. It's also in the classroom for you to use. So as you're going through this, each of these sections, the 7-3, 7-4, 7-5, these are each little mini lessons that are going to help you as you start to write. So as you're going through on the trail, you're going to come through and you're looking at each of these and it's giving you what you need to do and what you should be focusing on, right? So this is where you're doing interviews. So you should be doing how you should be looking at the interviews. So this part of on the trail session 1 is you getting your first interview, basically, right? You're getting that information that you need to pursue appropriate for specific beats. You get to choose which beat you would like to do. So you need to make sure you familiarize yourself with lesson 1, which is going to give you that information, right? Of which specific beats you can consider and think of. So on the trail, so that is going to be your first interview, right? So the second thing that you're looking at is 7.04. So that is on the trail 2. That's your second interview. Then you have your correspondence column. So what is the correspondence column? So if we look at that, we go up, look at our lesson resources, and you are using this time to begin putting your beat news story together and assessing your material that you have. And you're going to start looking at the lesson and what your interviews look like and your non-human resources, and you're going to start putting all of that information together, right? So that's basically all this lesson 5, 7.05 is you rough drafting. That's all it is. Basically, that's what you're doing. So then we get into 7.06, I think is just kind of, we're skipping that. It's basically, I believe, yeah, your choice. So we're skipping that. If you can guess what 7.07 is, it is you getting your picture ready in there. So you're choosing a picture that's appropriate. So 7.8, back to the drawing board. And that's you getting through, putting everything together. So your interviews, your picture, it's you going through, rewriting that process and making sure that that's all good and complete, right? You're avoiding errors, you're getting all of that done. And then the last step is your final draft and turning that in, and that's in 7.09. So basically, every little component of Unit 7 is kind of broken down for you and gives you a time frame which you've got to get those interviews first. You've got to get your picture. You have to rough draft. You have to get the final document developed and together, right? You have a length requirement that you're looking at. It's about 600 to 650 words. So this is a 2-week project, right? So realistically, it's only one assignment due in the next 2 weeks. However, it's a big assignment. So you want to make sure that you're working on it over the next 2 weeks. Again, we'll talk about this more in Class Connect. On Class Connect right before it's due, we will definitely be looking at doing more of like a help session, peer editing type thing. So if you have questions, please let me know. Like I said, we will cover this more in depth on Thursday, but I did want to give you kind of a basis of what you're looking at. And then if you get done with all of this, you are free before Thanksgiving and do not have any assignments for my class the week of Thanksgiving. So excuse me, if you have questions,